What's up, producers? Welcome to Low on Candy. I'm Bohemoth, and today we're going to talk about all things sidechaining. By the end of this video, you're going to know how to sidechain and implement it in your own workflow. Before I hopped in, I wanted to mention that I'm currently doing one-on-one mentorship lessons on AbletonLiveTeacher.com. It's a brand new website, absolutely amazing and affordable way to get paired with a mentor and become a better producer at an accelerated rate. The link's in the description. Also, at this point, I'm doing new videos practically daily, so go ahead and like and subscribe. It's very much so appreciated. It helps me continue making content for you guys. So let's get into it. So let's start by talking about what is sidechaining. Well, the Google definition of sidechaining is an effect that you have on one sound that is triggered by the level of another sound. The easiest way to explain this is just to go ahead and show you. So over here we have our kick and we have our sub. Now you notice if they play at the same time, what's happening is they're living in the same frequency range. So the kick and the sub both are sitting at 40 to 120 hertz. So they're living in that same range. And what's happening is they're playing over each other, which is causing an excess of volume, and it's going to cause clipping, it's going to cause peaks in your production, all that kind of stuff. So if we look at our master and we look at our Pro Q, they're both hitting in the same spot. What we're going to use sidechaining for is we're going to tell the sub to duck by a certain amount when the kick hits. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and grab a compressor, Ableton stock compressor, and over here we have an arrow. Once we click this to expand, we have this option for sidechaining here. Now we have an option to select an input. This is going to be our kick. So we're telling the sub to duck by a certain amount whenever the kick hits. So we're going to turn our ratio up for this example. We're going to have a quicker attack because it's a transient heavy kick. And we're going to set the release pretty low as well. Now we can hear when that kick's hitting, the sub is ducking. And that makes everything kind of fit together like a puzzle and work with each other. So instead of playing at the same time and it's like two people talking over each other,
literally lost $1 billion a year.
And you're getting the sum of volume that's way higher than it should be. You're having the sub duck, the kick come in, and then the sub come back gradually. So this is the most common example of when to use sidechaining and kind of sidechaining in its most basic form. But there's tons of other ways you can implement sidechaining. One way that I implement almost more than sidechain compression is sidechain volume automation. So with sidechain compression, what you're doing is you're compressing a signal a certain amount when another signal comes in. With volume automation, you're actually turning down the gain of that signal. So we're going to go ahead and grab a chain shaper, which is actually a Max for Live device, and it's my all-time favorite sidechaining tool. And it works similar to the compressor where we'll go ahead and select our input, and that's going to be our kick. And when we play it, it's actually ducking the entire volume of the sub. To kind of do it in a dramatic sense, we'll push this all the way to the right so it's got a big duck. And we can hear that sub is completely ducking for the kick. Another cool thing about this plugin in particular is you can actually open it up and you can select how much of what frequencies you want to duck. So say we could not duck the highs at all if we had like highs in our sub or the mids, and hear the difference. So it's pretty cool. It's a great plugin. So like I was mentioning with sidechain volume automation, this is good for a very dramatic duck, like a very audible, noticeable duck. And what that does is it kind of accentuates the kick. It makes the kick sound bigger without turning it up and clipping it. So here's a loop that's a good example of volume sidechaining with a kick and the rest of the track. So we can hear when that kick hits, there's literally no signal from anything else, just for that split second. Everything else is ducking, and it makes the kick big and more present. And it also gives that really good pumping effect with the rest of the track. So this is a great example of when to use volume sidechaining as opposed to compression. Now getting into an example of where sidechain compression would be preferable. So here we have a basic chord loop with some vocals on top of it. And if we play them both at the same time, it doesn't sound awful, but they are sitting right in the same frequency as each other. So with mids, you have a lot of stuff there. You have your instruments, you have your leads, you have your synths. Vocals also live right in the mids. So if we look at this on a Pro Q, this is going to show us the vocals versus the chords. It So you can see that the dominant frequencies between 200 and 2K are pretty much the same in the same sound. So that means they're kind of competing with each other and talking over each other. To kind of combat this, we're going to use some sidechain compression. We're going to use a plugin called Track Spacer, which is absolutely a phenomenal one for stuff like this. And what Track Spacer is unique for is it actually allows you to sidechain only certain frequencies with extreme control. I'll show you what I mean. So we're going to select our input, which is going to be our vocals. And now we're going to dial in what frequencies we want to sidechain. So we'll bring it to, let's say 200, like we just mentioned, to about 2K. Now it's very subtle, but what's happening here is the chords are actually ducking every time the vocals come in. So it's really making them work together and kind of fit together like a puzzle without summing them and having it peak or having it be too loud or talk over each other. Now remember, sidechaining doesn't only pertain to compression or volume automation. It means any effect that's triggered by the level of another effect. So a cool way we can utilize sidechaining for something like sound design would be to use a gate. So here I have a kind of like transient heavy synth loop. And then I also have like a trap screech. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put a gate on the screech. Stock Ableton gate. And once again, we have this little arrow here that gives us the option to sidechain. And we're going to select our input from our synth loop. And I didn't talk about these, but you can actually, on this equalizer menu, you can actually sidechain only certain frequencies. So you can low pass and high pass and only affect certain frequencies. For this example, we're just going to use the whole thing. When we play this, it's only letting the screech in and activating the gate once the signal from the synth is brought in. So this is a really cool way to add textures and layers to your sounds and synths. I use it all the time. There's tons of different ways you can use sidechaining. These are some of the most dominant ones I find myself using. If you guys have any questions or are confused anywhere, just go ahead and drop a comment in the chat. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time.